Module 3, Simple and Compound Interest. At the end of our module, students should be able to define simple and compound interest and differentiate simple interest problems from compound interest problems. Illustrate how to solve simple interest and compound interest. Solve problems involving simple interest and compound interest. Compute compound interest and accumulated values using different frequencies of compounding. And lastly, distinguish between future and present values. So when does an interest exist? There is an interest when we deposit money in the bank. So you earn interest when you lend money or deposit funds into an interest bank account, such as savings account or a certificate of deposits. So for example, you deposit $1,000 in a savings account that pays a 5% interest rate. With simple interest, you'd earn $50 over 1 year. So we will apply that later on in our following problems. There is also an interest when we borrow money. So when you borrow money to a lender or take out a personal loan, you agree to repay your debt with interest, which is essentially the lender's charge for allowing you to use their money and repay it over time. Next, there is an interest also when we apply loans for car, house, etc. and we invest to financial institution. So in addition to this, interest is the amount paid to an entity for lending its money or letting another entity use its funds. So on a larger scale, interest income is the amount earned by an investor's money that he places in an investment or project. Okay, so what can you say about this image? So this image shows a cycle of a person putting his money in the bank and comes out with an interest. How about you? Do you trust your money in the bank? Is it to save and to earn interest in your money? Always remember that when we save our money, it earns a certain amount of interest. And having a sort of interest is a way to earn money. So if you want to learn more about the interest, then watch this lesson. So when we talk about interest, it refers to the charge or fee for using someone's money. So when the money is deposited in the bank uses the money to lend to someone who is in need. In doing this, the bank earns by putting interest on the borrowed money. And when the borrowed amount is bigger, the higher the interest is. Likewise, when the borrowed money is to be paid in a longer time, the higher the interest. So there are two types of interest. So we have simple interest and compound interest. We will first focus on the simple interest. So when we say simple interest, it refers to a charge on the amount invested or borrowed on which the interest charge is calculated on the principal. So the simple interest is usually used when it comes to buying anything and generally for loans for 1 year or less, and also simple interest is used for car loans. The computation for simple interest is quite forward. It is the fastest way to compute for the simple interest. So to compute for the simple interest, we need to call the formula I is equal to P times R times T, where P stands for the principal. It is the amount borrowed or invested. R refers to the rate. It is the rate P for the use of money or percentage per year. T stands for the time. It is the length when money earns interest and is calculated in years. For our first example, let us find the simple interest. Suppose you invested an amount of 20,000 pesos for 5 years and earns 7.5% simple interest. What is the simple interest earned? Based on this given problem, we have the principal amount, which is 20,000. So we have the rate, which is 7.5%. And in decimal, this is 0.075. And the time, which is 5 years. So to find for the simple interest value, we need to follow the formula. I is equal to P times R times T. So all we need to do is to multiply all of these values. So we have 20,000 times 0.075 times 5 years. And this gives us the value of 7,500. So what is the meaning of this? The simple interest therefore we earn is 7,500 pesos. Okay class, so second example. Finding the interest rate. A 15,000 savings account earned 510 pesos interest in 2 years. What was the interest rate? So here we have 15,000 as our principal value. The 510 pesos is the interest earned, and the time is 2 years, and the unknown is the rate. So following the formula I equals P times R times T, we have to substitute the given values. So we have 510 as the value of I equals 15,000, R is unknown, times the time, which is 2. First, we have to simplify the right side. So we have 15,000 times R times 2 gives us 30,000 R equals to 510. So we need to divide both sides by 30,000, and the value of R here is 0.017. Okay, for third example, find the length of time Mr. Wilson borrowed 120,000 pesos in a bank with 6% interest rate. He was told to pay an interest of 48,600 pesos. What is the length of time it will take for him to pay the interest? Okay, so based on the given in the problem, we have the principal value, which is equivalent to 120,000 pesos, interest rate of 6% or 0.06 in decimal, the interest value of 48,600, and the unknown is the time. Following the same formula, I equals P times R times T. Then substitute all the given values. So we have 48,600 equals 120,000 times the rate, which is 0.06 times the time. Multiply all values on the right side. We have 7,200 T equals 48,600. Then we divide both sides by 7,200. 7,200 will be cancelled out. So therefore, T is equal to 6.75. 6 refers to the numbers of years and the 0.75 for the first 2 months. So how do we get the number of months? We have to multiply 0.75 to 12 and the value of 9. Therefore, this means that it will take 6 years and 9 months for Mr. Wilson to pay the interest. Therefore, that is our final answer. So let us have the second formula. This formula is applicable in finding the future or maturity value. So we have A equals P times 1 plus R times T. A here stands for the future or maturity value, which is equal to the interest I plus the principal. And the rest of the variables are the same with the first formula for the simple interest. Example, find the maturity value for a loan of 30,000 pesos to be paid in 9 months with an interest rate of 5.2%. Here we are looking for the maturity value given the principal value of 30,000 pesos, time which is 9 months, and to convert 9 months in terms of years, we needed to rewrite this in the form of 9 over 12, where 9 represents 9 months and 12 represents 12 months. So 9 over 12 is equal to 3/4, and R, which is 5.2%, or in decimal we have 0.052. And what we are looking for is the value of A, the maturity value. And to solve for it, we have to follow the formula. A is equal to the principal times 1 plus the product of the rate and the time. Okay, so all we need to do is to substitute then the given values. So we have 30,000 times 1 plus the rate 0.052 times the time, which is 3/4. Simplifying this, we have 30,000 times 1.039. So this is equal to 31,170 pesos. And this means that the maturity value of the loan is 31,170 pesos. Okay, next formula is for the present or principal value. It is given by P is equal to A over 1 plus R times T. So this formula was derived from the maturity or future value. So for example, find the present value of 320,000 in 4 months at 9% interest. So here we are looking for the value of P. So for A is given by 320,000 pesos, time which is in 4 months. And to convert this in terms of years, we have to write this in the form of 4 over 12, which is as 1/3, and the rate which is 9% or 0.09. Following the formula, to find the present value, we have P is equal to A, which is 320,000 pesos, over 1 plus R, which is 0.09, times T, which is 1/3. Simplifying this, we have 320,000 divided by 1.03. Dividing this gives us 310,679.61 pesos, which means the present value of 320,000 pesos is 310,679.61 pesos. Okay class, so let us now proceed to compound interest. So when we say compound interest, it refers to the charge on principal and on any previously earned interest, meaning to say an interest is added to the principal, and that has been added also earn an interest. So in other words, in compound interest payment, it keeps larger over time, and this addition of interest to the principal is called compounding. So when do we use compound interest? Usually this is being used for loans of more than 1 year. It is also useful for investing since it allows the fund to grow at a faster rate. When we say compounding, we need to take note the compounding periods, which refers to the span of time between when interest is less compounded and when it will be compounded again. So we have semi-annually, having 2 periods per year, quarterly, 4 periods per year, monthly, 12 periods per year, daily, 365 periods per year, and commonly used compounded period annually, having 1 period per year. Let us show the difference between simple interest from compound interest. 10,000 pesos deposited at 5% interest. How much is the value in money after 2 years? If the interest given is only simple interest, to compute for the money after 2 years, it is only given by 10,000 times 0.05 times 2, which gives us 11,000 pesos, meaning to say there is 1,000 pesos interest after 2 years. And as for the compound interest, since an interest also earns an interest, we have to present this per year. So during the first year, we have 10,000 pesos as a principal value. And to find the interest value, we multiply 10,000 pesos by 0.05. And this gives us an interest value of 500. So the total for the first year is 10,500 pesos. And during the second year, to find the value, we have to use the 10,500, which is the principal plus the interest during the first year. And this value will earn another interest. That is why we have 10,500 times 0.05. And the interest here will be added to 10,500 pesos. So the total is 11,025 pesos. So if you are going to look at or compare simple from compound, in compound the value is larger than the simple interest. So the formula to be used to find for the future or maturity value in compound interest, we have A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the power of N times T. A here stands for the future or maturity value or the compound amount. P represents the present or the principal value. It is the amount invested or borrowed. R refers to the annual interest rate, and N refers to the number of compounding periods such as annually, monthly, quarterly, and etc. And T refers to the number of years. So to find the present and the principal values, we need to follow the formula P is equal to A all over 1 plus R over N raised to the power of N times T. Let us have a sample problem. Okay, so finding the future value and the interest amount. So we have the problem. Mrs. De La Cruz invested 100,000 pesos in a company that gives 10% annual interest compounded semi-annually. How much will she have after 5 years and how much is the interest? So based on this given problem, we have the principal value of 100,000 pesos. The annual rate, which is 10% or 0.10 in decimal. We have the compounding period of semi-annually, meaning to say we have 2 periods per year, and the time, which is 5 years. So first we have to look for the future value. The future value is given by the formula A is equal to the principal value, which is the 100,000 times 1 plus R times 0.10 over the compounding period, which is semi-annually, and it is given by the 2 raised to the power of N, which is 2 times the time, which is 5 years. So we have this as our solution. Simplifying and calculating, we have 162,889.46. So what is the meaning of this? Means that Mr. De La Cruz will have 162,889.46 after 5 years. To find or to solve for the amount of interest, we need to subtract 100,000 to 162,889.46. That will give us the value of interest, which is equal to 62,889.46 pesos. Okay, for our next example, finding the present value. Francis wants to do a time deposit on his money to a bank account with an interest of 3.5% compounded quarterly. The balance of his bank account after 2 years is 82,400 pesos. What is the initial amount he invested? So initial amount is equal to the principal amount. So we have given a maturity value of 82,400 pesos. And we have also given the rate of 3.5%, which is 0.035 in decimal. And we have the compounding period, which is equal to 4 because it is compounded quarterly. And we have also given the time, which is in 2 years. Okay, so following our formula, we have principal amount P is equal to our A, which is our maturity value,
equivalent to 82,400 pesos, divided by 1 plus our rate, which is in decimal, 0.035 divided by n, which is 4 because it is compounded quarterly, raised to nt, which is 4 times 2 years. And to do so, calculating this, that would give us the value of 76,852.65 pesos. Therefore, Francis' initial amount invested was 76,852.65 pesos.
That is our final answer.